President Trump fires back at his Senate Republican critics.
He insists the Republican Party is united behind him, and he says the news media is making him appear to be uncivil in his language and personal attacks. KCON9 political reporter Dave Bryan joins us now with what the president said today.
Yesterday, the two senators had some unflattering things to say about the president. Today, the president returned the favor. He also had some things to say about a private investigation during the presidential campaign, partially paid for by the DNC and designed to find dirt on him and connections with Russia. But first, the state of the Republican Party, according to President Trump. The way President Trump tells it, the Republican Party is one big happy love fest.
We have actually great unity in the Republican Party.
That was the president's response to charges that the GOP is coming apart at the seams because of dissatisfaction by fellow Republicans. This fellow Republican, Senator Jeff Flake, made a speech on Tuesday skewering Mr. Trump's approach to governing.
It is dangerous to a democracy. Such behavior does not project strength because our strength comes from our values. It instead projects a corruption of the spirit and weakness.
On Wednesday, President Trump fired back at Flake.
He was against me from before he ever knew me. He wrote a book about me before I ever met him, before I ever heard his name. His poll numbers in Arizona are so low that he couldn't win. But the first time I saw him on television, I said, I assume he's a Democrat. Is he a Democrat?
But Flake's criticism of the president certainly did not set off an avalanche of similar presidential criticism coming from his fellow GOP senators.
I'm still on very good terms with the president.
He's very focused on getting results. Our job is to put our head down and start legislating.
But the Senate chaplain, Barry Black, hailed Flake's courage and asked for some divine intervention.
Lord, provide us with more patriots who will stand for right regardless of the consequences.
The president was just getting warmed up, turning to one of his favorite targets, the news media, which he accused of spreading the impression that he lacks the civility to be sitting in the Oval Office.
I think the press makes me more uncivil than I am. You know, people don't understand. I went to an Ivy League college. I was a nice student. I did very well. I'm a very intelligent person. The fact is, I really believe the press creates a different image of Donald Trump than the real person.
But when pressed on why, for example, he mocked Senator Bob Corker as Little Bob Corker, he danced around the question.
I hope Bob, and I really believe that Bob Corker is going to do the right thing.
And the president defended his controversial condolence phone call to the wife of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, who was killed in an ambush by terrorists in Niger.
I was really nice to her. I respect her. I respect her family. I certainly respect LaDavid, who I, by the way, called LaDavid right from the beginning. Just so you understand, they put a chart in front, LaDavid, says LaDavid Johnson. So I called right from the beginning. There's no hesitation. One of the great memories of all time. There was no hesitation.
The president was jubilant over reports that Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic National Committee had paid for opposition research that led to the now infamous dossier of allegations about Mr. Trump and Russia.
Well, I think it's very sad what they've done with this fake dossier. It was made up, and I understand they paid a tremendous amount of money, and Hillary Clinton always denied it. The Democrats always denied it, and they're embarrassed by it. But I think it's a disgrace.
The law firm that represented both the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary for America campaign has confirmed that it paid Fusion GPS in April of 2016 to perform a variety of research services. Until now, some top Clinton campaign officials have denied knowing who was behind the campaign to dig up dirt. Former campaign spokesman Bryan Fallon.
It was kept for reasons that I can understand to a very select group, given the sensitive nature of who they hired.
Alex Conant, who is now a CBS News consultant, worked for Senator Marco Rubio's presidential campaign.
Every competent campaign does opposition research on their opponents because you want to know your opponent's vulnerabilities. I think hiring foreign spies is a rather aggressive tactic, which is not normal, but it is normal to do opposition research.
Now, many analysts believe the future departures of the two Republican senators and several other GOP members of Congress is clear evidence that the Republican Party now belongs truly to President Trump. And with the help of his former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, the takeover appears to be taking hold. Either get on board the president's plan or take a hike. Jeff, Lena, back to you.